Making rectangles is perhaps the most important skill that you want to be able to learn when you are working with CS Academy in the very beginning. So this video is going to be all about learning how to take a picture in CS Academy that already has some rectangles and figure out what code you need to write in order to recreate that picture. So up at the top, you'll see that I have some text here with some hashtags in front of it. The reason why I put some hashtags in front of this up at the top is just so that it doesn't run as code, but instead this gets saved as a note to myself in this code and like inside of my code, but it's not actually code that's going to get run. So I put a hashtag in front of it to make a note to myself. And you, I believe, are all very well familiar with, or if you're not familiar, this video is going to make you well familiar with this, that this is the format to create any rectangle in CS Academy. We always write a capital R and then the ECT that are lowercase. We write our parentheses, and in between our parentheses, we always need 4 numbers. Left, how far our shape is from the left side of this canvas. Top, how far our shape is from the top of this canvas. This is the top of the canvas. Width, how wide horizontally the shape is. So how wide. And then height, how tall the shape is. And on the canvas, you always have this really helpful grid here that reminds you about the CS Academy coordinate system. 0, 0 is in the top corner. The whole canvas is 400 pixels by 400 pixels. Not inches, not feet, not centimeters, pixels. And a pixel, if you look like at your phone screen or really any screen, you should see these little tiny, or I don't know if it should, but you might see these little tiny squares going across your screen. Those are called pixels. So there are 400 little tiny, 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 tiny squares that are going across this canvas here. Okay, across and down. So those are the basics. Those are the basic things that you need to know in terms of making rectangles. Now, you can always find, and I'm going to scroll down here, you can always find the coordinates of the left top corner, which conveniently are the first 2 numbers we need, by looking at the left top corner of the shape. So here, this is the left top corner of this shape. This is the left top corner of this shape. This is the left top corner of this shape. And this is the left top corner of this shape right here. Okay. Then we need the height. Sorry, the width. We need the width next. How wide the shape is horizontally from left to right, how wide the shape is. And then the height, how tall the shape is from top to bottom. Okay, so those are the steps, but now I'm going to actually take you through those steps as you get to see how I created this artsy E here. All right, artsy E for Ellis, I suppose. So let's scroll down here and you're going to see the code that I've written here to create this E. Now, fortunately, we have this grid to help us, but it's not always going to be there. So for instance, for this very first rectangle, the one along the side here, I can actually just look at the numbers on the grid and that'll tell me, okay, the left top corner is at 40, 40 along the x-axis, 40 along the y-axis. So those are going to be my first 2 numbers. Okay, I can subtract 80, this is the right side, minus 40, that's the left side, to find how wide the shape is. Okay, so I could literally just write 80 minus 40, or you could replace this with just 40, because you know 80 minus 40 is 40. And then to find the height, I can subtract the bottom. Okay, the bottom is at 360, and the top is at 40. Okay, perfect, and that gives me my first rectangle here. And just to kind of confirm that to you here, I will temporarily delete this code here for a moment, just so you can see, confirm that this creates that rectangle. Okay, now let me undo here. Now, that strategy, just looking at the numbers on the grid, isn't always going to work if we have shapes that don't fit perfectly within the grid boxes here. So let's turn off this grid and find another way that we can also figure out the values to create a rectangle. So remember, we're always going back to these steps here. We write rect. So you'll notice with all my code, I've got rect with the capital R and I've got my parentheses. First 2 numbers are always the left top corner of the rectangle. So if I put my mouse up here, you'll see that 140 are the left top coordinates of that first rectangle from the top here. So 140. That means that my rectangle is 100 pixels from the left and 40 pixels down from the top. All right, now how do I find the width and height if there's no grid here to help me? Again, sometimes these shapes don't fit nicely into the grid, so we have to do something different, which is take our mouse and put it over the right side of the shape. Okay, and we see that it says 340 as our X value. Okay, now let's take our mouse and look at the, so we looked at the right side, sorry, this is the right side, and then we looked at the left side, and we see the left side is at 100. So if we subtract those two numbers, we'll find the width. Now, sometimes students tell me, wait, what about subtracting from the bottom? What if you do the same thing at the bottom? Well, you'll notice that, again, I get the same numbers, 340 as the X value and 100 as the X value on the left side. So as long as you subtract the X value of a point along the right side for this rectangle and the X value of a point along the left side of this rectangle, then you are going to get the numbers that you need to find the width. Okay, to find the height is really, really similar. You are going to subtract the Y value of a point along the bottom. So we see the Y values along the bottom are 100. And you're going to subtract the Y value of a point along the top, which is 40. So we can do 100 minus 40 to find the height. And here, just again, show you that this is what creates that rectangle. Boom, see, you see we've got this rectangle here. 140, we subtracted to find the width, and we subtracted the X values to find the width, we subtracted the Y values to find the height. All right, now let's move on to these last two rectangles here. Okay, so again, we always look at that left top corner. That tells us the first two numbers. Okay, so we've got 110 and then 190. Perfect, okay. To find the width, we subtract the X values along the left side, along the right side, and then the X values along the left side here. And sometimes students also ask me, wait, why are we subtracting the X values? Because you know the X axis goes side to side. And that's what the width is. It's the distance from one horizontal side to the other side, okay? So we subtract these X values, 270 minus 110, boom, that gives you the width. Okay, then we're going to subtract the Y values, 210 minus 190. Perfect, that's going to give me my height. Let's confirm that that creates that rectangle here. Boom, okay? And then the last one here, let's take a look at the left top corner. Okay, left top corner says 100, 300, boom. Okay, those are the first two numbers. Then we can subtract the left side. The left side has a Y value of 340. The right side has a Y value of 100. We can subtract these two. We've got our width. And last but not least, we can find the height by subtracting the bottom, the Y values of the bottom, and the Y values of the top. So 360 minus 300. And then, of course, we get this E at the end, okay? So that is the process. Whenever you see any rectangles in CS Academy and you're trying to figure out, okay, what code do I need to recreate this picture? Always start with writing your rect with your parentheses. Use the left top coordinates to find the first two values, left top. Subtract the right side from the left side, the big number minus the small number to find the width. And subtract the top from the bottom, or rather, you're subtracting the big number minus the small number, so you're going to subtract the left side from the right side, and you're going to subtract the top from the bottom in order to find the height here, okay? So that is the process every single time, okay? You've got this. Keep going and make these rectangles.